Hey, I'm here with Tim Shiner today, a good friend of mine, but what I really like to call him is Tim Multiple Income Streams Shiner, because that's what he does. He creates multiple income streams, and that's what I want him to tell you guys about today to bring value into your life. Tim.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
Hey, this will be fun. It's the second time Ben and I did it. We screwed up the recording on the first one, so it's like taking a mulligan in golf. This one should be right down the middle of the fairway.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump right into it. Tim, what was your first income stream?
My first income stream, I wonder if I got one here. Let me take a look real quick. My wife probably put it up because it's not the prettiest thing, but I invented a can insulator, that koozie that fit in a golf cart and a boat.
I should say first extra income stream besides a job or anything, an extra income stream.
Yeah, so in the mid-90s, I was a top sales guy for a security equipment manufacturer, and I was drinking a hot beer on Iron Horse Golf Course and right down the street from here, and the beer cart girl, I was with a customer, and the beer cart girl was like, hey, I'm going to be back in about 3 or 4 holes. Do you want an extra beer? So we're like, sure. And she iced down in a cup this beer and just looked like a big old contraption. So from that day forward, whenever I see something jury rigged or half-assed, I'm like, okay, there either is a solution that I'm not aware of or there isn't a solution. So I don't get frustrated when things are messed up. I think, what's the solution for it? So that's a kind of a change in mindset. And then what ended up happening is it's that to-go cup shape that you see all the time. Well, there wasn't a to-go cup tapered bottom on a koozie.
Right.
So I filed a patent on it, and what's weird is I got a patent issued on the way I never did it, and I never got a patent issued on the way I did. Something that people might be curious about. You can actually file a patent before you have a product. A lot of people, it's a chicken or the egg, they don't really know. And when it comes to patents, there's 3 different things. You can do a provisional, which basically is like putting a flag in the sand and going, hey, I intend on doing this. And that's real inexpensive relative. I mean, it's a little less than $2,000. You can do the design patent, which basically means, hey, it's going to be this shape, but if someone tweaks it a little bit, then your design's out the window. So a design patent is kind of like, it's like getting the second best car you wanted. I mean, you didn't get the real car you wanted, you got the check down car. And the ultimate one is you want is a utility patent. That costs about $8,000. Takes typically about 1.5 years to 2 years. And then, we're on this little tangent on patents.
Yeah.
The other thing on patents, we didn't know we were going this way. The other thing you need to think about patents, what you do is you write claims. And the more claims you write, the better chance you get something that's going to be approved, and that will be your patent. So what you need to think about is if you're on a boat deep sea fishing, do you want one line in the water to try to catch fish or claims, or you'd rather have the whole boat outrigged with all kinds of lines?
Yep.
So when you're designing something, you need to think about everything it can potentially do. So back to your original question, I invented this koozie. I went to a lot of koozie manufacturers in Texas. There's one in Belton, one in Wichita Falls, one in San Antonio. It's just kind of coincidental. Kind of the koozie mecca of the world is in this great state of Texas. So I went to all those guys and said, hey, you're not making very much margin on your regular foam koozie. It doesn't fit in a boat, doesn't fit in a car, and doesn't fit in a golf cart. I've got this product. You're going to make greater margin. Here we go. And what blew my mind is all of them are scratching their head like, I don't know. It was before that to-go cup shape was out there.
Yeah. And
so another lesson I learned is when people say they don't know, what they're really, in my mind, saying is, I don't have anything to reference that back to. If the to-go cup shape was already out, and then I did the koozie, they'd be like, oh yeah, because they can ping it to that. So when someone says they don't know, it basically means I did a search in my brain to try to reference this to something I know, and I don't have anything. I came back empty. Exactly. So don't be discouraged by that. Then finally what happens, there's one koozie manufacturer up in Wichita Falls, and they said, Tim, we're not interested in this thing, but if you order 10,000 of them, we'll build them for you. And so what we end up doing is that dip foam, like a boat keychain. Yep. That's what my product was made of, because you had a tube, a bottom, and then the extra bottom, and it all had to be glued together, dipped together, and ready to roll. And out of that, I created a business, and like a dummy, people go, hey, do you do golf balls and hats and shirts and all that other stuff? And I'm like, no. And then finally I realized, man, I'm saying no to these people that want this. And instead I'm focused on this obscure thing. That's cool, but it's like I fell in love with my own baby. Yep. I forgot that I could be selling them shirts and everything else. And out of that, I created a full-blown promotional products business. But that first revenue stream, I think I was making maybe about an extra 100,000 a year, and I was probably 28 years old on top of my regular job. And then I started, running cars through the business and, taking trips and doing all that other stuff. So my lifestyle really improved. Before I was a W-2 wage earner, getting taxed to death, and this side business allowed me to really experience a good lifestyle. So I was really fortunate that they said that nobody wanted to do it, because if I would have licensed that koozie and walked away, I would have made good money and it would have been good and all that, but I would have not learned how to run a business. And because of that, all the real estate, all the other inventions, all the other stuff came because everyone said, I don't know, I don't see this thing working. And I really think, I remember reading in a book, it might have been Jay Rogers' book, where basically, if you're an entrepreneur, it comes to a time where you decide whether or not you're going to place a bet on yourself.
Right.
And that my moment on that was 10,000 piece order, where I was going to be like, Tupperware lady or Avon or Amway guy. I was going to have a garage full of koozies if I didn't figure out how to sell them. Yep. But, I did it and it changed my life. But just realize, a lot of people are trying to get money from friends and neighbors for business, but you know what? Eventually you got to bet on yourself. And if you're not willing to bet on yourself, why should others?
Absolutely, man.
Boy, that's a windy road for revenue stream.
Patents.
Everything, exactly. Man. There you go. Here's patent. Little infomercial patents.
All kinds of value. All right, so you start doing the cart coolie, and then you blow up the promotional business. Yep. And at what point did you quit your job?
So I always joked I was the youngest guy in first class. I was traveling all over the place. I was working eventually for Honeywell because companies I worked for got acquired. And so my job would be to go to ADT or Brinks and say, hey, use a Honeywell panel versus another brand of panel. And I enjoyed that. I was making good money, but I was concerned that I was going to be capped off. And at the time I was making $140 a year. That was 20 years ago. So it equates out to $207,000 nowadays, 401k, company car. But my concern was I felt limited. I was going to have to sign an agreement that basically said anything that I thought of was their intellectual property. Mm-hmm. And not that I knew I was going to invent a bunch of stuff, but it just felt like soul stealing.
Yeah.
Like, you kidding me? Hey, Ben, I own everything you think about for the rest of your life, but you get to live in a decent house and get a free car and some health insurance and 401k.
Right.
I felt like a sellout. You know, like you hear these musicians go, man, I just couldn't play that song because I felt like a sellout. I felt like I was a business sellout. And so it was partly that, and then partly I felt like if I go to call on a customer, why sell them the one thing? It was the cart coolie lesson I learned. So if I was working for Honeywell, I just sold them Honeywell, that's it. Well, what about a van wrap? What about yard signs? What about, fingerprint readers, motion detectors? What about all that other stuff? So I because of the cart cooling and starting a promotional products business, it got me thinking, well, I'm going to go see that guy, but why not try to sell him 10 things, 20 things, 30 things?
Got it.
And the other thing I found out is the more things I did with the customer, I no longer became like their rep or their vendor for that one thing. I became a trusted friend. And I've always been fascinated by how people run their business. So as their trusted friend, they started sharing more about their business. As they started sharing more about the business, I felt like I got a free little mini MBA learning about all these different businesses. And it was the exact opposite of that soul stealing, sign your life away type deal.
Right.
So out of that, I walked away from that job 20 years ago. I started a company called PAR Products because it's the same acronym, because the cart coolie was under personal and recreational products. So I figured everything's either recreational, fun, or personal. So I had this big grab bag of a name, and I needed it to sound golfish, PAR, because of the cart coolie. So then when I started my rep firm, Professional Alarm Representation, it's because it's the same acronym, same banking, same everything. And so I started PAR, a rep firm. I rep about 30 products in a 4-state region: Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. I've got great sales guys that I get to work with. And then we bought another rep firm up in the Missouri area. It's called Mink. You're from Missouri. But the acronym is Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, the Mink territory. So now I've got eight states. And out of PAR, I probably have about 30 different revenue streams coming in, 30 different manufacturers. And then up in Mink territory, I have 30. So there's 60 people writing checks every month. You and I talked off camera that that basically, would you want to jump out of an airplane with 0 parachutes, 1 parachute, 2 parachutes? I mean, if I could strap on a few more, I would. But if you only are getting paid from one source, that's like jumping out of an airplane with 1 parachute. You better hope it opens.
Right.
Or going scuba diving with 1 oxygen tank.
Yep.
So just on the security side, we've got roughly 60 checks that come every month. And then we used to have 153 people paying us rent, but we changed and got rid of the lower end stuff and went higher end.
153 rent houses or apartments?
I had 4 apartment complexes and then a bunch of rent houses and a couple commercial buildings. But we ended up cleaning that up, and now we have, I think, 19 or 20 really high end rental properties where people have great credit scores and they're moving into this.
Where are those at?
Southlake, Texas. It's a top 25 wealthiest city in America. But what's unique about it is there's no apartments or multifamily. So if you Google Great School District, Dallas, it's going to pop up. But then they think, oh, well, I'm going to get a duplex or condo or town. They don't have any of those. So then you have to either buy a really expensive house and hope that you pick the right area, or you rent a house for a year or 2 from us, and then I know what you're already going to ask. So anyway, just to keep it before we ask that one. So 30-30, that's 60 revenue streams on the security side. 20 rent checks come in, so now I'm at 80. Go for it.
So wait, I don't know which one
I thought you were gonna do Tear.
Which one?
Tear up the lease. Not tear up the lease.
Oh,
I thought that's really good.
All right.
I guess since you're interviewing me, maybe I'll shut up.
All right. Tim has a really cool concept that he utilizes in his real estate business, and it's fun for him and his wife to do it together. So, Tim, will you tell us about that?
All right. It's so much easier when you ask the questions.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm slow, man. I mean, on the cart coolie, it took me a long time to realize that, hey, people wanted shirts, hats, all this other stuff. So what I realized is that every renter eventually leaves me. It's just like every girl I'm no longer with because I married my wife.
Right.
So what I realized was they're all leaving eventually. So why not turn that into a revenue stream? Because that's how I think. I mean, everything's a revenue stream. So what we realize is it's stressful to try to time. Our camera guy just moved from a dorm to an apartment over the weekend. And so it's tough to time. That's the great Kyle Ball over there. It's tough. Do some beef footage and toss yourself in there.
He's doing a bunch of crazy stuff behind the camera trying to make us laugh this whole time.
So there's your revenge. So, but it's tough to time moving from one place and going to another place. And then our market's rather hot, and so you're
the DFW market.
Yeah, you're trying to go. I'm going to time the end of my lease and buy my dream home, and it's all going to happen within 60 days. Well, good luck. I mean, it's going to be challenging. So what we do is, because my wife's a real estate agent and runs all of our properties. Crystal Shiner, the lovely Crystal Shiner.
Crystal Shiner, what a dynamic name. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a China pattern, or we say it's like something else that we won't say. But here is her cartoon character, right there.
She's in this book too, somewhere.
She's everywhere. But anyway, I think we're missing the point. So what we do is we say, buy from me, tear up your lease for free. So if a renter wants to buy a house from Crystal, they can leave at any time. So then she gets a 3% pop. Let's say it's a $500,000 house. So now she's making $15,000 for them leaving. They're going to leave anyway. Right. But then it becomes a little bit more harmony because they're appreciative that we're letting them out, and now they're going to be more willing to show the house and make sure that we don't have any downtime for the next renter. And I mean, just last year, Crystal made about $71,000 selling properties to our renters.
Just your renters.
Yeah, just our renters. And we never sell our houses. We buy our stuff and hold it forever. So we're selling, other houses. Just to be clear, sometimes people get confused. Oh, you're selling your rent house. No, I love my rent houses. Yeah. If I sold my rent house, I would just go back and buy my rent house again because I like what we have. We've got really good quality stuff. So we do that. And literally, like we were talking about downlines earlier. So then some of these people, Crystal sells a house, then they want an office building, then they want to buy land, then they have a relative come to town. So just last month, Crystal made $41,000 in commission from what I call our downline of renters. One was a guy that rented from us, but bought a house, bought some land, and now just bought a $1 million building. So all of that. But last month was that $1 million building was part of that 41 grand. Then we had this young doctor couple that rented for like literally 3 months and then bought a house. And then they had relatives move from New York, and we Crystal sold them a lot in Vaquero. So collectively last month, 41 grand. I mean, that's a lot of money off of our downline of renters. So my goal was to buy $2 million worth of houses this year, and I bought $1.3 million, $1.4 million. But I get real excited about it because I know I'm helping myself long term. But more importantly, I'm also helping this machine buy from me therapy leads for free. And my wife makes a commission every time I buy a house. So it's like the onion thing that you and I talk about. There's just layer on layer on layer. And if you're going to a job and that's all you have, you just don't have a layer. You just got one thing.
Right.
So I always look at, how can a deal be more, what does Tony call it?
Elegant solution.
Yeah, Tony Jerry calls it elegant solution. Where
Yep.
and how does he say the thing that I say?
You can do one activity and accomplish multiple objectives at one time. So you can go work out, but you can also have somebody sitting here holding the phone for you, so you can take a call. You can be, you can do
Sure.
4 or 5 different things during your
Like
workout.
multitasking.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the chapter in this book is multitask, multi-income stream.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. And once you get your mindset on that, you can't help it. I mean, we were thinking about, right before we started, another gentleman that you could do a podcast, and we thought about the 4 different revenue streams that could come out of it. It's just
Yep.
it's just a different mindset once you train your mind on looking for revenue streams.
Yep. Completely changing your thinking.
Yep. So there's about 80, 20 on renters, 60 on that. Invented a couple products in the security industry, and now those royalties are going to start to roll in. So that'll be another 2 revenue streams.
Tell them about your latest one with the gun.
The gun lock's pretty cool. We just got a great review on it. But
This is really cool.
so I had a guy named Don Goodwin come to me. He's a sales guy for Hawk Security. And people come to me all the time like, man, I got an idea. I'm like, oh man, please don't tell me, because they don't realize they have the idea, but now it takes 99.999% of the work. This thing took 2 years to bring to market. It's literally a top 10 toughest thing I've ever had to do. And just realize that if you have an idea, you might think it's very, very valuable, and it might be, but what's gonna make it or break it is all the hard work. The idea is, it's not even 1% of the deal, because you just have a ton of stuff behind it. In fact, this is funny, I'll grab this real quick. So this gun lock came to market. Finally got it to come to market. And what it does, it ties your gun into your alarm system. So if your kid is messing around with your gun, you're at work, you're gonna get a text or an email so that you're gonna know. Whatever side of the gun argument, whether you're pro-gun, anti-gun, 100% of people agree we need to know if one is being handled by someone that shouldn't.
That's
So
great.
we addressed the problem with that. We got it to market. We're getting great reviews. It's selling real well. But here's a perfect example. This is an email of a gentleman that will remain nameless, that basically was an engineer that said, hey, this thing will never sell. I'm not bringing it to market, on and on and on and on. It was his opinion that it needed to have biometrics and tracking and all this other stuff. Well, I mean, a Bugatti's a nice car, but they sell,
Right.
Less than 10 a year or whatever. So he's trying to make my product is a Bugatti, and I was trying to make a mass market product. I was trying to make a Kia that everyone could afford of gun locks, because this gun safety thing's a real deal.
Yep.
Tired of seeing a shoot 'em up at a school. I'm sick and tired of seeing them, and we're going to continue to see them. So I wanted to address it, but then this gentleman just basically told me my idea wouldn't work, didn't want to do it. Took a prototype, dropped it so they wouldn't have to test it. I mean, just typical loser stuff. And I looked him up the day this thing went to market. Went to market August 1st, and I looked him up just out of curiosity, because he got fired and he's still unemployed. He's been unemployed for about 7 months, and I don't wish bad on people, but he looked for excuses to not do stuff, and life has given him back what he's putting into it. So you and I have talked about before, if you take a rubber ball and throw it lightly against a wall and expect for it to fly back at you, it's not going to happen. So when you look at effort of bringing something to market or creating a revenue stream, you got to throw that ball against the wall as hard as you possibly can, because you want all those great results. I mean, it just amazes me if someone thinks you can half-ass life and just get all the rewards. Get the great girl, get the great life, the great happiness, the great house, the great cars. You're not going to get any of that if you're just throwing that much effort, you know, or dropping stuff or saying stuff's not going to work. But you know, when you start doing okay, people are like, oh, everything you touch turns to gold. I would much rather someone tell me I can't do something.
That's powerful. Powerful, guys. Hey,
that gets me wound up.
I know, man. Another thing that I just noticed whenever we turned around, can you see that picture back there, do you think? Tim, tell him about how you taught me about getting a picture framed or foam board or whatever and giving it to somebody because it stays on there.
Oh, yeah. So
he's just got a good lesson after good lesson.
So Ben, I have a Lamborghini. It's the second one I've owned in this picture of Ben and I. And so Ben and I didn't realize we do the exact same thing. Like I take pictures of people, typically with this car, and then I send it to him as follow-up.
Right.
And then that's the exact same thing Ben did. And what guys are lazy and we're bad decorators, you know.
Right.
My wife's a good decorator. That's why she hid my first invention somewhere. But if you give a guy a picture frame,
yep,
it's going to go in their office. And the other thing is, you know, I'm old school. I love writing handwritten thank you notes, and I know you do too, and Kyle does also.
Yep.
But that's going to be a timeless, like that, right on cue. There you go. But it's going to be a timeless thing because everyone's texting and email.
Right.
So if you think about digital pictures, you're going to send somebody a picture or have a picture frame. But when you go old school, you give them something, stick it on a wall. I mean, I could have 20 pictures of you on this phone, but who knows? And then someone's going to look at it and go, who's that guy? And then it brings up conversation.
So that's a distinction that I want to share is that Tim gave me this idea. He said, hey, if you get a good picture with somebody, frame it, send it to them, and it'll be on their desk or in their office forever. Yeah. So I said, you're exactly right, Tim. People love being told they're right. And I went out right away, had this made, and did his own little trick on him. So I'm modeling. One of the quickest ways to get results and to create the life that you want is to find somebody who's living the life that you want to live and then model what they're doing. And stalk them. That's why I live out back and Tim doesn't even know it. He's got a huge pool house back there that
don't even know you're there.
It's so easy to hide.
But if you Google modeling, it's a real deal. And I'm not talking about girls walking down a runway. It's basically emulating someone else's great habits. Something that we've talked about off camera all the time is I view it as being a composite rock. There's like these pure rocks. I view my whole life is if someone did something really great, like you're a fantastic world-class note taker. You're in the top 1% of the world on that. So I could be a better note taker by watching you. So there's a little spot on my rock.
Right.
I'm top 1% thank you note writer in the world.
Yep.
So someone can take that and stick that on their rock.
Yep.
Revenue
stuck
streams,
it on mine.
Revenue streams, I think I'm top 1%. Focused on creating revenue streams in the world, so someone could say, all right, man, I never thought about everything's a revenue stream, everything's an onion, not a sheet of paper. I got to look deeper at what the thing is. So I mean, if you want to, I mean, everyone's going to be different, but why not get the greatest hits and slap them on you of successful people?
Yep.
Think about when you listen to a greatest hits album, they get rid of all the average stuff. They just get the best stuff. So why not turn yourself into the greatest hits version of the people you know, and then you become you.
That's powerful, man. Becoming the greatest hits version of you, using all the greatest things from all the people and experiences that you've had.
Absolutely.
It's powerful, guys. All right. What about a favorite income stream, revenue stream that you have?
It's probably gonna be this one.
I know it might take a long time to.
So I had this promotional products business. It was in Kentucky, and it's almost like running a restaurant. You got a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of stuff coming out. A lot of restaurants don't make it because unless you're emos or sugar firemen, they just in St.
That's
Louis.
crack.
That's
drugs.
It's barbecue crack. But you got, when you have a lot of in and out, you have a lot of things that can go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of places where people can steal from you or not do the right thing or whatever. So this business was 700 miles away, and I didn't do a good enough job of focusing on the person that I trusted that ran it. Yeah. And so out of that, I ended up selling that business to my screen printers, Central Screen, Nathan and Josh Randall up in Kentucky for a whopping $1. Sold this for one. Congratulations, Tim. You sold this business for $1. But I did it because I have and do make an ongoing residual of everything of my existing customers and everything of any future customers. And so that's become a great business because I no longer have employees, no longer have inventory, no longer have receivables. I don't have anything a real business has. So when you're a W-2 wage earner and you're working at a job, you need to think, what job could I have that I don't have inventory, I don't have anything. So I mean, you know, everyone's got to wear a shirt. I mean, so why not it be mine and logoed? So I turned a business that was challenging into one of the best revenue streams ever. And now I'm just real excited. I just throw them leads all day long. I make a piece. They do the heavy lifting. And it's great. But for someone's going, man, how can I get started? Well, I don't want a million other competitors in the promotional products business, but something like that isn't a bad idea. I mean, let's say you're calling on a bunch of doctors' offices and all of them need copiers or all of them need, you know, paper, supplies or whatever. Why not have a relationship with someone that does that and just give them the leads, stay out of it so you don't get fired from your real job, and build some side stuff. One of my big mentors, Lance Dean, was like, always be top 20% in your company and then have your side deal going. And that way, if you're top 20%, you're never going to get fired. And then your side deal. And what ends up happening on your side deal, you start getting excited about that. So then you want to make more sales calls on your real deal. So that actually makes it go better. I promise you, when I first was selling cart coolies and promotional products, my security equipment numbers were fantastic because I couldn't wait to go see people because I was making more than just the one thing.
And to make sure that your boss leaves you alone if you're
exactly.
top 20.
It kind of, again, it's an onion. You make your boss happy, you're making more in your real job, and you're building your side deal instead of just dreading your job going to work. And typically, your company's going to be paying for your car, your gas, your meals to go do that. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. Right? You're building your side deal.
Right.
Side hustle, what the kids call it nowadays.
Yeah, right. Grinding. All right, so one visual that I really like when you give that I would love for you to share is about the table and legs underneath the table.
Okay. Yeah, on Bigger Pockets, I think I mentioned that.
Tim was on Bigger Pockets podcast, and out of 300 episodes, his is the number 5. Most downloaded.
Cardone's got me at 4.
Grant Cardone's beaten by 1.
The first 3 are kind of like people New Year's do a gym membership. They go for a few days and stops. Some people start the podcast. I'm going to start at the beginning. So then those first 3 keep. I'll never be able to surpass them because everyone starts, you know, at the beginning like that. But yeah. So what the visual is if you got a table and you got one leg, like a W-2 wage earner, nothing against that. We all had to start that, and God bless America. But it's just not the best thing. You say one wrong thing, HR get fired. You get a new boss that doesn't like. Right. You know, I don't like how you're doing your hair there, man. you're out of here. Or me, hey, you look old, get out. So anyway, you got one leg on the table, you whack it, the table's on the ground. You're done, you're fired. Your parachute didn't open, you're splattered. Your oxygen tank ran out, you're dead at the bottom of the ocean. So my thing is I want as many legs / revenue streams underneath my table of life as much as I possibly can have. And then if you want to whack it, you might take out 20-30% of my legs, but the other 70 are still there and they're still standing. And that's how you got to look at it. You're real vulnerable if you only have one way of making money. That scares me to death. There's just no way. I mean, you don't want to be in that position. I think a lot of people are. I feel like a lot of people feel like they're trapped but just think there's lots of things that don't compete with what you're doing for your main employer that you could be doing that are synergistic in other ways of making revenue.
Yep.
And then the other thing you and I always talk about is, and it's in this book, find the why. Why are you doing that? Why do you want these other revenue streams? So I played a little game with myself. I always wanted to buy my parents a car ever since I was a kid, like since I was 12 years old. And so I always earmarked the last sales call of the day is the one extra sales call, the one extra phone call was to make money for my parents to buy them a car.
Yep.
And so that was it. And so find the why. Like, you know, I talk about Lamborghinis, but I'm not the guys. Like, I couldn't go on a vacation, put it on a credit card, and pay it out over time. I couldn't enjoy myself. So I always put a goal, then reward myself. So my first Lamborghini I bought when I was turning 40, and I had to have 10 quality rent houses at the age of 40. And if I was able to do that, I was going to reward myself with a Lamborghini because I knew that those 10 quality rent houses, I'd be set for life.
Can you tell them quality? What's a quality rent house?
Like, the ones I bought this year, one was 500,000 and two of them were 380,000. Coincidentally, they're the same amount.
In a good school district.
Best school district in Texas. It's number 1 out of like 968.
50,000 housewives going to fight for you.
I don't think it's that many, but I joke that there's 25,000 housewives that every single day are making sure nothing bad happens to this area.
To the city.
So I have a free army protecting my investment, which is awesome.
That's great. That's leverage.
It is. So anyway, back to the tables, the legs underneath the table. It's just try to figure out the other things that you could potentially do. And then the why on that is maybe it's your kid's college, or maybe it's vacation, or maybe it's a Harley Davidson you want, or maybe it's whatever. But earmark what it is. If you didn't know me, you might think it's about money and materialistic things. But if you know me, you know that everything's a game, and I view all the materialistic stuff. You don't get to leave the planet with it. Anything you own, you don't really own, because eventually it'll be somebody else's. That shirt, that pen, this house will eventually be somebody else's. So don't get too caught up in that, but use that as a goal to help you achieve. So 10 houses, got to have a Lamborghini. When I went slightly used, I buy everything used. That way someone takes the hit. I think it had 1,100 miles on it.
Why do you do it?
Because as soon as you drive off a lot, you're going to lose 20-30% of the value of a car. So buy used cars. That's a chapter in that book. But the key on that, I almost didn't do it. I mean, I achieved everything. I mean, who achieves everything and you're right about to get your treat and then you almost don't do it? I mean, that's a little psychotic, Right. But what I realized is the sales manager that made the deal in my head, that if you got 10 houses, Tim, then you're going to get a Lamborghini. If that guy didn't pay off and give me a Lamborghini, which is me, then that guy is full of whatever, and he cannot be believed. Yep. So you do have to reward yourself. I mean, I've always been a hard worker and go for it, but you do have to reward yourself. And what I think most people that aren't where they want to be in life, they're too busy rewarding themselves before they've achieved. And then they end up being depressed about it because they know they don't really deserve whatever they got. They're making payments on it. They're struggling. So I had the exact opposite problem, that I almost didn't reward myself for whatever reason, but I did all the work I needed to do. So, you need to reward yourself. So I know that sounds bizarre. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but it was just, you got to reward yourself. Find the why.
It's great.
Find the why, whether it's your kids or your wife or you, or just earmark going, if I do this side hustle, then I'm going to get that. Because then it feels like it's free. I viewed my Lamborghini as free. It was a free Lamborghini because I did all the things to build wealth to get it. So if someone said, hey, you want a free Lamborghini? Yeah, sure. Okay, go do this.
Right.
Or if you want a free Harley Davidson, you want a free vacation with your wife, just figure out how to do it.
How about givers and takers? I like your lesson.
I love that one. Okay, so if you got givers and takers, a taker can't connect with another taker because there's nothing to take.
Right.
You're a car with an empty tank of gas.
Yeah.
So givers and takers are both looking for a giver's not looking for a taker, I promise you.
Right.
But givers are looking for givers, but sometimes they're occupied by a taker. So it's the only person a taker can be with is a giver. So sometimes givers, my wife's a wonderful giver. I feel like I'm a giver.
Yep.
And I've been around people that are takers. And sometimes you're occupied by a taker and you can't find your giver because everyone's looking for a giver.
Right. So two givers can't find each other because they're both being occupied by takers.
Potentially, yeah. And so the thing I'd say in life is make sure that you're with another giver if you're a giver, and if you're a taker, change. But the other thing we talk about, this is a Zig Ziglar deal, and I know that you got pictures of Zig all over your office, but Zig said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And so here I'm a young sales guy, broke, driving a Saab 900 in the middle of Kansas and Missouri and stuff, and I'm listening to a cassette tape, that's how old it was, with Zig Ziglar preaching stuff. But that's an onion thing. If you're going to be driving your car, you might as well be learning something.
Automobile University.
Exactly. That's exactly Automobile University. So Zig's in there going, hey man, if you help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And I'm like, I don't even have anything. I got to help you. But I bought into it, and it absolutely works. If I'm focused on what I can do to help you, then you're going to be reciprocal and you're going to help me. And it just works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people don't help you. They're like, hey, thanks for all that and see you later. But those are the takers, and they got a whole other set of challenges. But help focus on, you and I were talking about, other people do a podcast. Well, There you go. I already lined up your next podcast or two, just because I want to help you be successful. Yep. And you in turn, brought me another book today, the Giftology. John Ruhlin. Yeah.
If you watch this.
So anyway, that's kind of a strange concept, but you need to help other people get what they want. But what it also does, it allows you to not be self-centered, and you're focused on others, and I think that always wins. And you and I always talk about it. It's amazing. The most charitable people I know are always the most successful. It goes hand in hand.
Yep.
I mean, it's just how it works. So if you're modeling someone, the successful people are typically the most charitable. It just works that way.
Awesome. One more thing. Oh my gosh, there's so much here. I guess we can edit.
While you're looking, I'll plug the book. So 50 Things my wife loves/hates rental properties. 50 Things book is to help young people buy used cars, right thinking, stuff like that. A lot of pictures, easy to read. 100% of the profits go to a community storehouse. It's a food bank and a dignity closet in Keller, Texas. So if you're the poor kid, sometimes you're the smelly kid, unfortunately, and they have deodorant, shampoo, stuff like that, and also food banks. So there's lots of food banks out there, but I love the fact that they have a dignity closet too. And talk about onion. Whenever I have a birthday party or a function at my house, we always have people bring dignity items instead of gifts or bottles of wine or whatever. So you're having a gathering, now help something else out of it. So that's cool on that one. This one is, so many husbands and wives have differing views on how they're going to build wealth and rental properties. So we wrote 16 chapters from my point of view on each chapter, and then my lovely wife Crystal's point of view. And so you have the husband and wife give and take. 100% of the profit of this goes to Safe Haven, which is a women at risk home. So if a lady's having to flee with her kids in the middle of the night because some taker is being a jackass towards her, that's where they can go and get back on their feet. So 100% of the money going on that. So I view it as if you had a bunch of things happen, write a book, and then don't make it. I never want to make a nickel off a book. I always want to give it something else, because then it's like an onion. It's more layers of stuff.
Right.
Is that it?
That's it, man. How about one bonus tip on how to have a good marriage?
It's funny. I got this from a buddy. He read somewhere if you touch him 5 times a day, it like triggers something. So I on purpose try to touch Crystal. she probably doesn't want to be touched that much. I try to be extremely supportive, and I try to build her up and support her in every little thing. But it helps that I started with a very caring, good person. If I had the wrong person, I think I could touch her all I want. I'm not gonna help. But I mean, I thank God for every single day, and I'm very blessed to be with her. And she supports me, I support her, and marriages. I look. It's kind of a negative thing, but half marriages don't work. So if you start off with 10, half are gone. Right now we got 5 left. How many are there because of money reasons or kids? Maybe 3 of them. Right. So maybe you got a 2 in 10. You got a 20% chance. I mean, if Kyle the cameraman ball and you had a 20% chance of making it on the drive over, you wouldn't have came. Right. So, but just like 98% of people aren't going to be a millionaire. Just like great marriages are tough. If you're going to half-ass your marriage, you're going to have a half-ass marriage. If you're going to half-ass your work life, you're not going to be wealthy. So I think it's like everything else in life. You better throw the ball hard against the wall. If you want to be loved, then love. If you want to be respected, then be respectful. And I just view that as just like everything else in life. You're not going to have a great marriage unless you do great things to have a great marriage. Marriage.
Powerful stuff, man.
Patents, marriage,
revenue streams, real estate. Just wait till next time and see what you're going to get. 2 books. Check them out. TimShiner.com. This guy owns Page One. He freaking
thank you for that.
Personal brand online, man.
And 25 Habits of a Future Millionaire free poster
timshiner.com,
which you dominated with own page 1 and made sure that I ranked and dominated my name.
My pleasure.
All right, brother.
Hey, thanks, man.